Hour. The Power. With DJ Larry Jones.
What are some of the blend? All right, it's time for the Power Hour, and on this segment, I have. All right, you're watching Mental Health Moments. All right, you know what time it is? It's time for the Power Hour going home. So I had to find out more, and all right, it's time for the Power Hour. I'm your host, DJ Larry Jones, and today's topic is about processing your feelings. We'll be discussing some important questions on understanding and managing your emotions. Let's get started, ladies and gentlemen. Please welcome Miss Heather Heynen. Heather, how are you?
I'm good. Thanks for having me.
It's a pleasure having you on the show today. So,
Appreciate it.
you know what? I want to jump right into this.
Yeah, go ahead.
Let's just do it. Why is it important to process your feelings?
Well, I think the biggest part is that when we don't process feelings, we often end up numbing, repressing, kind of stuffing them down is usually the language that we use. And when we're not moving our emotions through our body, because emotions are energy within our body, and they get stuck, and this is all research backed, there's lots of ways that those emotions really get stuck within our body. And so then they can manifest a lot more depression, anxiety symptoms, but also physically.
Right, right. Now, how do you identify with acknowledging your feelings?
Yeah. So you kind of mean like how would you actually?
Yeah, how would you? Yeah,
Yeah. So one of the biggest things is being really aware, like paying attention. Um, I like to teach my clients often you're going to sense things in your body with feelings. So if you notice your heart racing, or if you
hmm
notice like a tightness in your throat, so sometimes our body sensations can be clues that we're feeling something. Um, but it is really important to practice that ability to be aware and pay attention in order to be able then to go into a process of actually moving the feelings through the body.
right. Now, I know a lot of people may be listening, saying, "Well, how do you process your feelings? What
Yeah.
are some healthy ways to process your feelings?"
Yeah, okay. So one of the really cool ways that we have research behind that this actually works, take a temperature down on a feeling, is simply to express or name the feeling. So a lot of times in therapy, we're talking about feelings a lot because just naming the feeling that you're experiencing will take that temperature down on the intensity of the feeling. So if you can get really good at naming your feelings. So uh, this is sadness, this is anger. And also, if you noticed, I try not to say I am angry or I am sad.
Yeah,
That I am identifies us as our emotion. We're not our emotions. We're there's a space there, and we want that space for that emotion regulation. So just saying, this is sadness or this is anger. But also the trick here is that there are hundreds of nuanced feeling words. So if a person has a really small vocabulary with their feelings, which is normal, usually we're like, I'm sad, I'm mad, I'm
yeah,
happy. You want to get into learning more nuanced feeling words, because the more nuanced we can get, the more that temperature will come down.
right. Now, when we're processing our feelings, how do we know we've done it properly? I mean,
Yeah, yeah. So I don't think there's necessarily like it's going to be this really specific right way,
right.
but there are different ways to do it. So we talked about naming. There's also things like a body scan where you name your sensations in the body as you are feeling your feelings. And so if you're doing a process like that, after you finish, there should be a sense that intensity of the feeling is just a little bit less. You
Right.
might still have that feeling, but it's going to be a little bit less. And you're going to feel just a little bit sense of calm, maybe than where you were at before. Maybe peace is a better word.
Right, right. Now, everybody goes through something throughout their day-to-day lives, and when it comes to dealing with overwhelming emotions, how do we deal with that? I mean, we all go, like I said, through
Yeah,
day-to-day stuff. How do we
yeah,
deal with these?
absolutely.
This, yeah.
So are you kind of talking like overwhelmed? So like
Just,
flooded, like
right,
really
flooded with
flooded with
all kinds of
emotion?
things. Yeah.
Yep. Okay. So one of the best ways I believe would be to go to your breath for that one. And so if you are sensing that overwhelm and if you are aware that's going on, and again, usually that's a sensation in our body, we're like all tensed up, a lot of tension, then going to your breath is going to be wonderful because you can really access your nervous system with your breath. You can help yourself shift out of that sympathetic, stimulated, overwhelmed state into parasympathetic, where you're going to take, again, that temperature down. And a really great breath protocol to use, one that's easy to remember. There's all different kinds, but one that's easy to remember to shift out of that overwhelm is deep inhale through the nose, like a count of 3, and then
Right.
exhale through the nose, count of 6. So if you always are doubling that exhale, that is going to help shift into that parasympathetic system. So
And also lower your blood pressure a little bit.
that's exactly, you
Yeah.
totally get it. Yep,
So that,
yep,
man, that deep
absolutely.
breathing in and out, it helps with a lot of stuff. Oh,
Yeah,
what
it
are some
does.
what are some common challenges people may face while processing their feelings?
I think most of us don't ever learn these things. We're never
Right.
taught these things, so it's really brand new. And most of us don't like to feel our negative, or I like to call them our heavy emotions. And so the challenge often comes in, we just get so uncomfortable being in a state of uncomfortable emotion. So as we work on these things, it can kind of feel well, very uncomfortable, but even scary. Fear will come up. This is a lot of times why people work with someone else, and especially if there's trauma, I do recommend someone work, because hard feelings can be pretty hard to feel. But it is a challenge, but it's also important to understand, the more you practice it, the more you do it, the more you sit in your negative emotion, the easier it gets. It's like the body and the brain, that whole nervous system starts to understand, oh, we can do this. Like, we can feel hard feelings.
Right. Before we go, can you give us our viewers some tips on how to deal with intense emotions?
Yeah. Again, I would go back immediately to the breath. So I'd use the breath protocol. And again, using that double exhale. So making the exhale always longer than the inhale is going to help. And then, my favorite is the body scan. So if you notice you're having intense emotions, and if you have a moment, you've done your breathing, you've come down a little bit, that temperature's come down. And then you can sit and imagine, like I talk about the spotlight, like slowly moving down over your body. Everywhere that light hits, you're going to name the sensation in your body. You're just going to name the sensation out loud. And as you move through your whole body, once you're done, you're going to notice that temperatures come down.
Right. What about sounds and you go to rain
Mm,
falls and all of this other
you bet.
does that work pretty good?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I even think about, some of the Eastern traditions more often would use things like sound bathing.
Yeah.
And they're definitely, we can get into physics a little bit, but it's like the whole frequency of different sounds absolutely can resonate within us, calm the nervous system. Yes.
Yeah, I used to go to sleep with headphones on and I would
Yeah.
listen to rainforests
Oh, yeah.
and it would send me right to sleep.
Yeah. The best. I agree. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Heather, I thank you so much for joining me on the show today. It's been a pleasure speaking with you. You have a wonderful day. And listen, how can anyone reach you if they want to reach out to you and discuss a few
Yeah,
things?
sure. Yeah, for sure. My website's probably the easiest. So it's Heather Heynen. Last name is spelled Heynen. So heatherheynen.com.
All right.
You're watching the Power Hour. The Power with DJ Larry Jones.
What are some of the blend? All right, it's time for the Power Hour, and on this segment, I have. All right, you're watching Mental Health Moments. All right, you know what time it is? It's time for the Power Hour going on. So I had to find out more, and